So today we've got Catherine Thompson from the Unique Boutique, which is based at Westwall Farm, Raynham. Hi, Catherine.
Hiya.
How are you doing today?
Yeah, good, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm really looking forward to having a chat with you. It's good to see you back at Dragon Co-working.
Yeah, definitely.
Back in the door.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, there's nothing worse than a co-working space that's empty. I
can only imagine. Yeah,
it defeats the whole object of it, having the space there to get people together. So yeah, it's lovely to see people back. Although it does get noisy now. I've been spoiled for the last 6 weeks. I've been on my own. It's been really quiet, and I wouldn't have to wear headphones normally, but I've got to do that now.
Yeah, you've got to tell them to be quiet. Just
it's a small price to pay for having people in the co-working space.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so like I say, it's a new concept today. We're doing this sort of get to know you session for local businesses. So if you are a local business, well, I say local, it could be sort of anywhere really. We're doing it on Zoom, aren't we? But sort of Kent Medway base. Please drop me a line. We've booked up for the next 4 weeks with these sessions. But if you'd like to do it on a Wednesday lunchtime, please drop me a line, and we'd love to interview you and get to know your business a bit better. Okay, so as I mentioned, we've got Catherine here from the Unique Boutique. So perhaps Catherine, perhaps you could tell us a little about your story and let us know sort of what happened to bring you up to starting the Unique Boutique.
Yeah, so my story started about 5 years ago, where I actually started the Unique Boutique. But prior to that, probably about 2 years before that, my children were growing up and getting to the point where they're going to be leaving primary school and starting to panic slightly, thinking, what am I going to do with all my time? I'm going to end up just doing nothing and turning into just like sleeping all day and stuff like that. So unfortunately, I did lose my mum 7 years ago, and that did prompt me to actually do something. It made me think, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. So I'd been a kind of stay-at-home mum and always wanted to do my own thing, really since I was probably in my 20s, but never really could work out what I wanted to do. And I had a friend at the time who was also in a very similar position to me, and we both kind of pushed each other along and said, come on, let's do it together. So we both trained together, and we set up the Unique Boutique, and we started trading, and we kind of like pushed each other along, where I might find myself losing a little bit of confidence or needing a bit of a guidance, she would be there to help, and vice versa. So it worked out really well in the early days.
So it's your first business, Unique Boutique?
It is, yes, yeah. That's a big step. I mean, I am in a lucky position because my husband works, so I guess I probably did go in with it with a different attitude than I would do now, because I did kind of think, oh well, if it doesn't work out, it's not like I'm going to lose my home or anything, which is not really the right way to look at it. And now I wouldn't. Now I would think to myself, it is about actually achieving something for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So what do you like? What's the best thing you like about working for your business?
So I love meeting people, and you'll probably know by the end of this conversation that I like to chat too. So I find it quite easy to put people at ease. I get a bit of a buzz out of someone coming through the door and saying to me, I was really nervous about coming in today and now I feel so much better. I get pleasure from sitting down, having a conversation with a client and going through the procedure and taking that time that they need to explain to them what actually happens when they're having this particular procedure, particularly with the permanent makeup, because it's such a big commitment by a client. You rarely get someone walking the door and just go, oh yeah, okay, I'll just have it now. It takes them time to come around to the idea. And it does give me huge pleasure to kind of give them that confidence that they need and to make them feel at ease. And I very often get feedback of people saying, oh, I was really, really worried, but now I feel so much better that I've come in and spoken to you. And even then, sometimes it still might take them a couple of months to actually book in, but eventually they do book in. And it's just good to know that people feel like they can talk to me and they don't feel pressured, but they can get the answers that they need to make them feel better. So I get a lot of pleasure out of that.
So it's a really personal service you provide, isn't it? I mean,
it is.
Could you just tell me, I've got to mention actually, what sort of services do you provide?
So my main speciality is permanent makeup and skincare, and skincare sort of come around in the last 6 months, and I've started to really enjoy that as well, because you can work with clients. Again, I've come to realise that I get a lot of ladies through the door who lack confidence in the way they look because of their skin. They feel like they look old. They might be suffering with some kind of skin issue, like maybe pigmentation or scarring from acne, or acne even as they get older. So it's an opportunity for them to invest in themselves, relax, they chat. I do get to hear a lot of details about people's lives, but again, I don't mind because it's like a bit of a relief for them. So I really, really enjoy the skincare, and obviously the permanent makeup, as I was mentioning earlier. You do get to know the client very well because it's 3 appointments. You know, you get to understand their needs and their worries, and I can usually address that. So yeah.
A bit of a therapist as well. Gets talked to
exactly,
as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you built up any really good relationships, sort of like become friends with people just through business?
Definitely. Yeah. I've got some of my friends are actually my clients as well, but they were started out as friends. And I'm thinking of one in particular that I've made friends with, and it's her 50th birthday next year. So she's already invited me along to her 50th birthday, which is really nice. And we have actually just become friends as well. So, and she still uses my services too, so that's all good.
Brilliant. It must be a very personal service then if it grows into friendships. That's great.
Yeah.
So I want to mention, hopefully we're coming out of the lockdown now, but how has your business changed through lockdown? Obviously it's physically been you've had to close down. It's still closed down until sometime late in July, hopefully. So what has actually changed?
So obviously I've had to stop seeing clients physically, like everybody in my sort of industry, and I've had to close up the salon and kind of mothball it for the time being. We were all hoping that we'd be going back on the 4th of July, but as of yesterday's announcement, it doesn't look as though that's going to happen. So I've had to work hard to keep my audience engaged on Facebook. I get most of my activity on Facebook and some on Instagram. So I've had to maintain that. And it does get a bit difficult to think of content when there's not specifics to talk about in terms of having seen a client. And having said, because I like to concentrate on confidence, if I've had somebody in who has lacked confidence but then has decided to book, it's something I can talk about to my Facebook followers and stuff. So it gives them confidence too, and then they may talk to somebody else and say, oh, actually I saw that she had done this. So that has been a little bit of a struggle, particularly in the last couple of weeks where it's been such a long time that I haven't seen anybody. But on the positive side, as I was saying about my skincare, I've really got into it and really started to enjoy it and really understanding the products. And I've been engaging with clients, and clients have been coming to me and actually buying the products directly from me. And we're having face-to-face conversations like we are now. They'll say to me, oh, I don't like this about my skin, or this, I get this happen a lot. So we can have a chat. Again, I can give them some advice. I can give them some ideas. I can offer them some skincare products. And so far, fingers crossed, everyone's been really happy with it. And they're now getting to the point where they're starting to run out of what they bought and they're replenishing their stock. So that's
excellent. It seems to be, a lot of people have sort of, it's given quite a few people a breathing space, isn't it? So like you're saying now, you've actually that's it, you've actually looked into your products more and gone back to visit those customers again. So so it just gives that bit of breathing space, that space to actually slow down and actually look at your business, doesn't it?
Yes, it has done. That's been a positive too, yeah.
Yeah. And so what else have you learned anything else about yourself during lockdown?
What have I learned about myself during lockdown? I'm not normally very good at being at home on long periods of time with not a huge amount to do. So obviously we've had no choice in that matter. We've all had to stay at home more and been limited to what we can use for entertainment. So I've been quite pleased with myself, shall I say, that I've generally managed it. I have had a couple of days where I've kind of been a bit, what am I going to do today kind of thing. But on the whole, it's been all right, actually. And, I've quite enjoyed it at times. Whereas previously, if someone had told me this was going to happen, I'd have thought, I can't think of anything worse. Sitting at home for 12 weeks with virtually nothing to do, I'd pull my hair out. But obviously, I've still got my hair, so something must be going right.
You must have amused yourself then. That's good.
Yeah, try to, yeah.
Excellent. So you mentioned it earlier about Facebook and Instagram. So with marketing, what have you found really works for your business?
Facebook seems to be really good for me, and I know that there's kind of like an age group where you've got the sort of like the really young people will look on to the teenagers, and the early 20s and stuff will look on Instagram, and maybe 35 upwards. Obviously, I'm in that bracket of the 35 upwards, so I don't know whether I kind of warm to the Facebook part myself because I understand it better. I use it myself personally, so therefore I get more activity on it. So yeah, Facebook's definitely been probably one of the most prominent ways of engaging with the audience and getting new clients. I had to sort of take on Instagram about 6 months ago, which was fun. I'm still getting my head around that one. I still have to keep saying to my daughters, how do I do that again? I can't remember, but I'm getting to grips with it, and I can see its benefits and stuff. I've got a website as well, and I've set that up with one person, but I'm probably going to start using another person who seems to be more driven to the kind of thing I want to get out of my website. So they're the three main things really, and word of mouth, obviously. Networking's a good one because we all know it's all about relationships, and I think I've established good relationships now. People know me, and they do talk about it if it comes up in conversation.
It's crazy you mentioned Instagram there. I've had to do that thing as well. It's funny how it goes around in circles. You have to start asking your kids advice on things. Yeah. And it got to that point and you're thinking, I remember this. I can't remember what about, but years ago when my dad started asking me things, probably about a computer or something, I was rolling my eyes going, oh, don't you know that, Dad? My son does the same to me, asking about Instagram, and he's like, look, you just do this, this and this. So sometimes you have to go to our kids for marketing advice,
Yes, we do, definitely. And you know your age is coming out then as well, don't you? Just like, oh God,
you do.
I'm getting old now.
Because you went through that with your parents as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
So one thing I've really noticed about you, Catherine, you're really, really persistent, and you're really, really you're persistent, you're consistent, you're out there networking, you're always on social media, on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter as well. I've seen you on Twitter.
Yeah, not so much on Twitter, I have to confess. Yeah,
but sort of you're still out there a lot more than other people. And that's since I've known you for the last 2-3 years since you've been going. Yeah. And it's I think it's a real sort of tribute to you that you've been really, really persistent with it. And a lot of people sort of drop off and they don't actually continue. So
thank you.
I think it's done really well sort of that way, definitely.
Thanks.
It is all about success. It's all about persistence. If you give up, you never know what's around that corner, do you? Just before a big break.
No, I did see a little post actually on Facebook the other day, and it was sort of like someone two people digging a hole, and one was really close to sort of like the outcome, and he just gave up, and they were saying exactly what you said. You should never give up because you don't know when you're going to get that break.
That's it.
It'd be just literally that far away from it.
So over the years, when you first started the business, has your vision changed from there, from what you wanted it to be then to what it is now, in the future?
Massively. Yes, massively. I think when I first started out, you hear these particular people, not mentioning any names, who will say things like, oh, it's just a hobby for you. And I was quite indignant at that. But I can see now why people might have thought that, because I was just muddling along, a bit like, oh, yeah, I'll just do a bit of Facebook and, I'll say I'm doing this treatment, say I'm doing that treatment. Whereas now I'm much more focused. I have been on a few more business courses. I've joined in with more things like we're doing today and learnt stuff. I've engaged with people that do marketing, websites, etc. And when you chat to people, you start to pick up tips, and it starts to sink in and think, actually, I do need to do that. So I've got a much clearer plan of where I want things to go. And I have got a different mindset as well from having done the business course. Now I am very much like, I've got to just keep pushing forward. Yesterday when we got the news about not opening, I've got a colleague and a friend, and I knew that she would be really, really not happy with the news, as we all were. And I was pretty deflated by it too. But in the back of my mind, I was thinking, you just got to keep going. It's like, they might come back. In my mind, they might come back in another couple of days and say, actually, on the 4th, you can go back. And that's all I keep my fingers crossed, that they might do that. But as we were talking about this morning, it's all a numbers game. Perhaps it'll be the week after. Maybe it's not. It's definitely a lot closer now than it was 12 weeks ago. So I just have to try and look at the positives. And,
yeah, that's the way to look at it. It's closer than it was 12 weeks ago. Definitely.
Yeah, exactly. We're definitely,
Yeah, definitely.
I definitely don't see us having another 12 weeks of it. Whereas, you know, sort of 12 weeks ago, I thought it might be 6 weeks. So I've gone through the worst part now. And, you know, I got a little message from one of my clients this morning saying, you know, we're keeping our fingers crossed for you. We need you. So they're going to come back because they can't go anywhere else at the moment. So, you know, yeah, it's just keeping positive, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. Like you mentioned there, I mean, I forgot to say with your assistants now, I'd always seen you sort of like at Zoe Cairns events and ZC social media academies and things like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, pretty much anything where you can learn anything about business locally, you've always been there. Which again, you know, which is really, that's amazing. You know, so many small business owners just don't put in that legwork and time to actually learn new skills, do things, and get out there and do. So yeah, well done you for doing that.
It is a benefit to us, isn't it? At the end of the day, if you learn one small thing and someone sees you there and they kind of go, oh, yeah, I remember her, you know, that's what it's all about. So, I do try to keep in there because you never know, do you?
No, you never know. You never know. So what would you, I mean, if you was looking back, what advice would you give to your younger self sort of about starting a business and doing what you do?
I think it would be to get focused. I think looking back, I thought I was focused, but I was quite muddled really. And like I say, over the years, I've met lots of different people who run their own businesses like yourself, even picked up tips from you just chatting away about what you've been doing with your business. And it takes a few times for it to kind of get the penny to drop with me. So I think it would be open to people's advice and when people say things like you can't afford not to, sometimes you can't afford not to. Like, you know, if you need someone to help you with your marketing, for example, you know, it's one of those things you think, well, I'll just do it myself because it's going to save me money. But actually, in the end, you end up not doing a very good job and not achieving what you need to achieve to get those sales through the door. So actually, if you did invest in the right thing, it would get you going much more quickly. So yeah, that would probably be my advice: is take more on from other people.
Yeah, it's a difficult start, isn't it? When you start off, because some people you just literally go in there and you sort of you do everything yourself, don't you? So you know, that's it. You do everything, and then they reach that point where it's better to outsource it if you can, to actually get somebody who actually knows what they're doing. And you know, there's that balance and that tipping point, they call it, isn't it? Where it's better to outsource it than spend the time doing it yourself.
Especially if you're not doing a particularly good job and it's not actually achieving what you're meant to be achieving. So yeah,
that's it. Yes, that point I reached, that tipping point where I could actually employ someone to do my social media, was one of the best days ever in business, because social media, it's hard work, isn't it? Thinking content and doing everybody and being engaged the whole time. So it's much better. I'm so glad that Molly Moodles now does more on social media for me, because she does a really good job, and it's one of those things to think about. So have you actually thought about a celebrity? What sort of celebrity? Have you ever had a celebrity on your couch, or have you got a celebrity you'd love to do a treatment on?
I never had a celebrity, but yes, of course, I would love to have a celebrity. Probably someone, it's going to sound really corny, but probably someone like Katie Price, because she's fairly local.
I can imagine she'd be a good customer, a good ongoing customer as well.
Yeah, and she's got a good following. So I know I spoke to another therapist who had a guy who I've never heard of before, but he was on some celebrity program for about 2 episodes or something, and she filmed having his facial, and she got 8 inquiries straight away. And most people hadn't even heard of him. So I guess really anyone that's got some kind of celebrity status would be perfect. You know, I wouldn't say no to anybody. So, but yeah, somebody probably local. J-Lo or someone like that would do, but if she's busy. I know someone else.
Does J-Lo live in the deepest, darkest Medway? I'm not sure.
I think she lives in the deepest, darkest LA, maybe.
Maybe,
She's probably
yeah.
watching.
So, have you got any industry-specific sort of heroes that you've got out there that that you wish you could emulate or have a conversation with?
There's Karen Betts, who runs Nuvo, who is the company that I trained with the permanent makeup. So she's quite well known across the country. She's like an industry leader. But I kind of, again, have learned that she obviously hasn't done it all by herself. She's had lots of people to help her with the right kind of resources and stuff. But I kind of admire really any one person, like yourself, what you've built up with your business. I know it's not related to my business, but anybody that can start something from scratch and do really well, I know the amount of work that goes into it, so I know what's involved. There is Amy Jane Aesthetics. She's not someone that everybody would know, but she's local, and she started her business about 6 months, I think, after I started mine, and she's done really well with hers, and she's got someone working for her. So I would look at someone like her and think it's good to kind of follow what she's doing, because she's obviously got it right, So yeah, she's kind of like someone I'd look up to in that kind of situation.
Brilliant. Yeah, it's always good to see when people see people doing well and starting a business. It's always, when you see people, I always sort of think well done on them. It's hard running a business, hard starting a business, and I think people don't realise that unless you've done it, you don't realise actually how hard it is, and to keep going when those times where it isn't going right, and you've got to keep it together. You've got to keep strong. You've got to keep persistent, as you keep mentioning.
Yes.
So it is anyone like that. I've always got great admiration for, definitely. So what's the future for Unique Boutique? Have you got any sort of up and coming new treatments you're doing training for, or things you want to do in the future? And you've only quite recently moved to your new site, Westmoor Farm. Yeah.
So I kind of went solo back in November and set up at Westmoor Farm, and at that point I introduced the skincare, the dermaplaning and the facials with that, and my plan was to get trained in the needling, which is kind of like an anti-aging type facial, but obviously because of COVID that isn't happening at the moment, and because of the effect it's had financially on the business, I don't know whether I will get to do it this year now, because of by the time I go back and try and get going. On a more positive note, because of COVID, I have actually linked up with a few other therapists, and it looks like I'm going to be doing some collaboration with them. So it'd be new for their salon that they'll be having my services. In terms of any more new things, at the moment I'm probably going to just concentrate on trying to get the needling done, because it kind of goes nicely with the dermaplaning. And we'll see what happens from there, really.
Brilliant. Okay, thanks for that, Catherine. We're coming to the end now, so I did spring this one onto you earlier about this, about to see if you had any industry-related jokes, and we didn't. I found one, so I'm going to do it anyway, because it's now follows on from what we've just been talking about. So, why did the orange go to the beauty salon?
I don't know. Why did the orange go to the beauty salon?
Because it needed a peeling.
Oh, I should have known that, shouldn't I?
You should have known that one, yeah, should have known that one. But future, if anyone's going to come on a show in the future, there's always going to be a joke at the end. So if you've got an industry-specific joke, they'll know that now. So, Kath, I've sprung that one onto you. Everybody knows for the future now. Okay. So, Kath, thanks very much for that. If anybody wants to connect with you, if you could perhaps give us your Twitter handles, couple of website address, things like that would be helpful.
Yeah, so my website address is www.ub, as in Unique Boutique, beauty.co.uk. The Facebook page is The Unique Boutique. You have to put the in front, otherwise you get loads of other Unique Boutiques. And the Instagram is UB Beauty. I think it's just UB Beauty, not Unique Boutique. Twitter, I don't really do Twitter, so I probably wouldn't advise people to look me up on there, because they probably think it's just what's happened to her. She's not been on. So yeah, they're my main three really. But yeah, and thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure to spend a bit of time talking to you, and always good to catch up. Be good when
Yes.
you can actually see each other face to face again.
Absolutely,
So.
yeah, definitely, yeah. Thank you very much for that, Catherine. Okay, well, thanks very much, everybody, for joining us. Really appreciate it, and we shall see you again next week. Thank you.